Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking movies, TV, comics, and more. Join in the conversation on our social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome back for another edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. I am your host, Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, is the co-host. It's Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
Folks, we have a lot to discuss in the land of movies, TV, and comics, so let's join in that conversation, shall we? Hit us up on our social media accounts. You can find them on OchoDuroParlayHour.com. And remember, use the hashtag ODPH to join in, because we definitely want to interact with you, because there is a lot to discuss. Now, Sunday was the Super Bowl. So if you're not a sports fan, it was probably Sunday, but you still watched anyway because there is always the commercials to watch.
And you like to watch Sammy Watkins and LaShawn McCoy become Super Bowl champions.
Pat has to remind me as a Buffalo Bills fan every day.
I do.
And
I do. It's my contractual obligation.
It is. It's now in the contract to be on the show. So that being said, for a sports fan, Kansas City beats San Francisco. We've talked about that in the sports show, but for anybody that's not into sports, there is still more to do with the Super Bowl that would catch your eye. And like I said, the commercials are the big thing. Now, we did see a trailer for the Fast 9. I will just sum it up in one shot, so I won't even get into that. We saw some new footage for the Black Widow movie that's coming out in May. But
as if we needed to be convinced anymore to see that movie.
Right. There was nothing really too crazy about to really deep dive into. But what we're kicking off this episode with is the Disney Plus commercial. Now, on this commercial, we saw the next phase, I guess you can call it, of the MCU on streaming service. Because you can't really say MCU on TV.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's the next phase. It's because it's all, one banner. It's all under one umbrella. It's, I would say, if you want to say phase, it's the first phase of how the television is going to be going forward. Because in the past, of course, we've had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which we here on the show love and adore.
Absolutely.
Has its moments where it's not so good, but still love and adore. We've had the Netflix stuff with the Defenders and what have you, but it's always kind of been, we're going to loosely mention it, and we're going to kind of indirectly reference it and kind of indirectly be connected to it, but you're never really going to see one affect the other. But with what we're seeing now, with what's coming from this, especially from out of this trailer, is, people used to say, it's now going to be true. Everything's connected.
Yes, under the Kevin Feige rule now, because he has now taken over the streaming television products, he has now really implemented that everything is going to be connected. He is spinning off characters from the Avengers movie saga, the MCU, into their own shows.
Which I think is a great idea, because there are obviously some of these characters, great characters, awesome, love the portrayals. Might not necessarily be worth doing a full-fledged movie about.
Fully agree.
But you can still get away with doing, a limited series on Disney Plus with.
Absolutely. So this is where you can see smaller characters get some shine, and then who knows? If the demand is that big, they might spawn into their own movies. But the first three out of the gate that we had some information about coming was the Falcon and Winter Soldier show.
Yep.
WandaVision.
Yep.
And Loki.
Yep.
So that is what we saw in this commercial. Now, we did see some things, not a whole heck of a lot, but there's a lot to digest. We are going to be talking spoilers. So if you're trying to go into these shows not knowing anything, pause this episode and then save it for the rainy day when they come out. Otherwise, we're diving right in. We definitely want to interact with you. So in 3, 2, 1, Pad. What did you think?
I was very much anticipating this trailer. There was word that kind of leaked onto the internet that it was going to come, but we only knew it was going to be Falcon and Winter Soldier, which makes sense because that's the first one out of the gate that's coming out. So we were like, all right, we're expecting, but I was not expecting to see that plus WandaVision and Loki. I was very happy to see all three.
I was extremely happy to see all three.
Especially with, Loki, we kind of know what we're going to get with. It's going to be him gallivanting through the timeline and screwing things up, which is going to be hilarious. Just because it's Tom Hiddleston, and Tom Hiddleston's great in that role. But, and you kind of know what you're going to get with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I've heard it described as like a buddy cop show type thing, which I'm like, all right, I'm down for that. Especially with, I forget which movie it was in. I think it was, what was it, Civil War, where they're in the car seat together. They're in the car together, and Bucky goes, "Can you move your seat forward?" No. Like, I just, more of that banter, please. But the one I was most interested for was probably WandaVision, just because the way this show's been described in the stuff I've read online, it just sounds trippy, but in a good way.
Yeah, this one definitely caught my eye as being the commercial to watch for the Super Bowl. And obviously, being the MCU fan that I am, a lot was being highly anticipated for this. And I was very happy with what I saw from all three. So we're going to just jump into the footage, because the commercial opens up with Captain America's shield stuck in a tree. And you see Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie, once again, grabbing it and testing to throw it. So he's getting used to having the mantle of Captain America, we assume.
Well, and maybe he's trying to figure out how to get that thing to bounce, because I've been going through and rewatching the Marvel movies in order, release order, not chronological order. And Chris Evans, Captain Rogers could get that thing to bounce off of darn near anything. Maybe he's trying to learn how to get it to to throw the thing, because it's not exactly like throwing a frisbee. And as much as a gifted soldier as he is and what have you, I can't imagine that, I'll just pick this up and I'll be instantly a master at it. Obviously there's a learning curve with it, and maybe he's trying to learn how to bounce the thing.
Well, it's something that he's going to have to get used to, because the Falcon has never had the shield. It's always been in the possession of Steve Rogers, and obviously due to the end of Endgame, currently, Steve Rogers is no longer Captain America. The mantle has been passed on to Sam Wilson. And from this, we get a flash forward to, it looks like Sky Soldiers, or
it's some sort of military force in wingsuits, which are awesome. And they're falling through the air. And there's even one quick shot, which I just happened to notice because I paused it in the right spot, where the guy in the wingsuit is falling backwards through the sky while holding pistols in both hands, looking like he's getting ready to fire at somebody falling down backwards.
Yeah, so that is a cool shot, and we're not really sure who that's supposed to be representing. With, obviously, the Captain America lineage, it could be literally anybody, more Hydra, maybe AIM. Yeah. Who knows? But
Hydra's still out there.
We do see, though, an action shot of the Falcon flying through. I'm presuming it could either be like the Grand Canyon or a mountain regime.
I'm thinking Grand Canyon. They'll go for someplace well-known. That, we in the U.S., it might be someplace obscure that we in the U.S. know, but somebody else outside the country won't know. Grand Canyon, everyone's going to know that.
Right. So it's going to be a cool fight scene. We're not sure exactly what is going on there, but just enough action to keep us entertained. Then we get to a face-off between Sebastian Stan reprising his role as Bucky Barnes, the
Looks
Winter
like he got
Soldier.
a haircut.
Yes, he did. He does look like he did when he was Captain America in the comics.
Looking summertime fresh.
Absolutely. Sebastian Stan is back, and he's facing off with a returning Baron Zemo, played by Daniel Bruhl. And this is a really interesting scene because Bucky has a gun pointed at Zemo.
Yep.
And then when they show it, the bullets are coming out of the gun.
Now, and I want to know, this looks like it's Bucky's, what is it? It's not vibranium anymore. The metal out of Wakanda.
Oh, it's vibranium.
Oh, is it vibranium?
Yep.
Okay. It looks like it's Bucky's vibranium arm. And I want to know, the bullets aren't fired.
No.
They're still, usable.
Right, and something is going on there. I know in the comics Zemo does not have powers.
Sure.
So I'm going to say that this is not a Zemo effect that he's got telekinesis or anything like that, but Bucky can't pull the trigger. And what really is interesting about this, if you know anything about the comics, when Bucky Barnes took over the role as Captain America for a brief stint of time, his end run as Cap was against Baron Zemo. It was Ed Brubaker's final issue after revitalizing that character. And I cannot stress enough, if you have not read Brubaker's Captain America, you need to read Captain America. He's the one who brought Bucky Barnes back from being one of the untouchable dead characters of comics and made him relevant and, dare I say, shot him into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
The whole original Winter Soldier saga, how it is in the comics, is it's a masterpiece. Let alone, I am hoping they're going to tie in elements of this into the show.
I would imagine so.
I'm hoping so. I mean, I don't know if they're going to let Bucky become Captain America in this or what's exactly going to happen.
I don't think so, because I can't imagine that in one breath you're going to have, Steve Rogers hand the shield to Falcon and say, you're the next captain. You're the next one to take the mantle. And in the next breath, they go, oh, hey, yeah, never mind. We're going to give the shield to Bucky. Not to say Bucky's not deserving of it, but I can't imagine them playing hot potato with the Shield like that.
They can and they can't. I know in the comics
They might tease it further. Like I just watched Captain America Winter and the Winter Soldier the other day, and there is that shot when they first fight each other for real in the streets, and he holds that shield, and there is that shot of like, hey, they're teasing it like, oh, you might have the shield someday. They might tease it a little further or give you another little breadcrumb for those of you who haven't picked up on it yet. I might see him do that, but in terms of like giving him the shield, I don't think so.
It might happen. It might not. I mean, it's just one of those really could go in many different directions,
sure.
like moments, because in the comics, it's definitely been done where the shield and the mantle of Captain America has gone to both Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes. Whatever they want to do with the comic, the show rather, if they want to follow the comic or not, that's what's going to be really telling. I am very intrigued, though, that we're having a Bucky versus Zemo standoff, and especially with how that storyline ended in the comics is really going to be fun if they decide to copy that. But we don't know. And they didn't show enough other than we know Zemo is back. Mm-hmm. We did see, to kind of jump ahead a little bit from the commercial, we did see what I am calling the first appearance of Wyatt Russell playing John Walker, a.k.a. the U.S. agent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Pat, are you familiar with this character from the comic?
Nope.
Okay, brief synopsis. And I've said previously we are talking spoilers. Around Captain America 333, yeah, I'm definitely showing my comic book knowledge.
You're flexing your muscles.
Yes. They ran a storyline where Captain America was stripped of the title of Captain America by the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very well-written story by Mark Grenwald, if I'm not mistaken, that it was essentially Captain America works for the U.S. government, and Captain America said, I represent the ideals, I don't work for the government. So they took Steve Rogers out of the role of Captain America, and they forced in John Walker,
mm-hmm.
who was a very bad choice, as it turned out. Was not superpowered by any means, but he basically took superhero steroids.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time where there was, I believe, by Justin Hammer from Iron Man fame,
okay.
that they were basically creating superheroes, supervillains,
mm-hmm.
using like a power enhancer. So basically he became a genetically engineered human.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely was not the right person for the job.
Sure.
I think at one point he actually crossed the line and killed somebody.
Oh, that doesn't surprise
me. And it turned out that Steve Rogers had to have a battle with him for the mantle and rightfully took it back from him.
Sure, and maybe going off of that, I can see that with this being the show that, okay, Cap's dead. Well, Steve Rogers is dead. The government doesn't want to lose that symbol of hope and ideals and morals and whatnot. That it's a good figurehead to look to. It's a good face for the government to put out. It helps them in every way, shape, and form. So they're going to take the mantle, quote unquote, give it to this other guy, and because the public at large might not know that Cap is dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's something we didn't see really during Endgame. Okay, yeah, Cap is dead. We, the viewers, know that, and the folks, the superheroes, and those who know Cap know he's dead. Those would be immediate to him. And they had a funeral, obviously, but we don't know what his situation is in the world. For the rest of the world, we don't really know if the world knows that Steve Rogers is dead.
Well, Steve Rogers faded off into the sunset.
Right.
He didn't pass away, but I think that it's going to be assumed that he is, to kind of clear that up. Because the only one that we had the funeral for was Iron Man.
Oh, that's right.
But Steve Rogers was obviously aged to his proper age from the Super Soldier Serum. Yeah. So at this stage, he's in his 90s.
I apologize. I got my characters mixed up. But going back, so I can't see the government being like, oh, we can't exactly use an 80, 90-year-old man as a symbol for ideal and hope. We still need that figurehead, if you will. So why don't we give it to somebody else?
Yeah, and if Sam Wilson does not want to play ball with them, they decide, well, we're just going to have our own, because it'll probably borrow elements from the Mark Grenwald story.
Could be.
So I fully imagine that, and you're going to see why the U.S. agent, who he eventually takes that role over, and you're going to see him at the end of the comic.
And maybe it'll be kind of like with Captain America 1, where at first, because the shot we see in the trailer is of him at a football game, fireworks going off, there's a marching band playing, and they're all wearing they're not wearing high school marching band uniforms. It looks like they're wearing uniforms that are supposed to like represent, Captain America. So maybe they're doing a little bit of like what in Captain America 1, where they're bringing him out to functions and events and, hey, look at how great I am. Support, support me, support the country, support this, support that. But they're also having him go out on missions to like, because it's the day and age of the internet. It's not the day and age of like Cap in World War II. We're like, hey, just take our word for it. He's doing really good things. Like everyone's got a cell phone on the planet now. No one's going to buy that. So they got to maybe fly him out for some missions. And that's where, like you said, he went nuts and killed a guy. And well, that might happen. And somebody catches it on their cell phone.
Yeah. Like I say, he is a complete different personality than Steve Rogers.
Oh, yeah.
And this gets exposed. And I guarantee you the premise of this film is going to be that Sam and Bucky are going to fight to get the mantle back and obviously give us some prestige. The U.S. agent will eventually go work for the government and they can spin him off in the different shows. Because he does play a role into other teams if you go through the Marvel history. Like I say, it's kind of messy. He's not my favorite character by any stretch of the means. He's really just kind of a big jerk that is all I want to say super steroided out. So enough said on that one. But we do see a glimpse of him at like a pep rally or sporting event coming in. So it's going to be interesting how they tie it in. And that was all the footage we had for Falcon and Winter Soldier. We did get a release date of August 2020.
Yep.
It's going to be 6 episodes, which it seems like that's going to be the premise for all of these shows, too.
Yeah.
That we've seen. WandaVision, which we're going to cover next, that is going to be 6 episodes.
Well, and I know some people may be going, 6 episodes, that's really short. It is, but at the same time, I feel like it's the right length where you get in, you get your stuff, you get your action, you get your story, you get your plot out, you get out, you're done. There's no time for filler. There's no time for whole episodes where, all right, you get to the end of it and you go, all right, what the heck was the point of that?
And plus, I think trying to lock up Hollywood actors into doing TV shows, it might be tough at this stage to do, pending.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be something that if you're joining the MCU in whatever fashion, that's going to be tied into contracts. And I think doing the one-off like this might spin into something else. It all depends on what they want to do with the film deals and the Avengers franchise moving forward. Mm-hmm. So wait and see on that. But from what we saw, definitely liked what I saw.
Oh, absolutely.
That had more of my interest and more excitement for me to say this is coming out in August. I'm even holding out some hope this is going to get bumped earlier.
Well, maybe.
Because I know that they're having issues with people canceling Disney Plus now because there's no original content. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I wouldn't doubt maybe it gets bumped up to April.
Right, and like you said, these actors are busy folks, and fitting them in for a television series, which isn't just, oh, hey, you film your stuff, you're out, you're done. It's a little more complicated than that. I mean, you look back to last year where Sebastian Stan himself was in 1, 2, 3 different movies. He was in Avengers Endgame, movie called Endings Beginnings, and then another movie called The Last Full Measure. So the man was in 3 movies last year, which, that's not exactly you're in for a cup of tea and then you're out.
Right. So if it's going to be committed, and who knows? I mean, it might spawn into something.
Yeah.
We don't know at this stage. It could go a lot of different ways. Just the only thing that we know is it's locked and loaded for 6 episodes. It could take off into another direction, and we're just going to have to wait and see. But I am excited from what we're seeing thus far with that. Going to the next project that we saw, and this one had the most questions.
Yeah.
WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Paul Bettany is reprising his role as the Vision. Elizabeth Olsen is back as the Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
And we really don't have a lot of answers.
Right.
But we see basically an acid trip through time.
To put it mildly.
Because where we open is like the Ozzy and Harriet show.
Yeah.
If you're not sure what that is, just Google it.
Or go to YouTube. I'm sure you can find an episode.
Absolutely. One of the classics of American television. And you see that it's the happy homemakers, so to speak, of Wanda and Vision finally have their happiness.
I'll say it almost reminds me maybe a little bit of I Love Lucy, too.
Yeah, a little bit. Like it represents that time frame of television.
Yeah.
So as it opens up, we kind of see they're enjoying their bliss, I guess you can call it. Mm-hmm. And we do see time jumps through history. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not sure what this is exactly supposed to represent.
I'm not sure there's really anything you can base it off of, but I think it's just kind of establishing that, like, okay, the show is focusing on Wanda and Vision, but it's not going to be set in one time period. That, like, you're going to be jumping around a bit.
You are, and I think this ties into the basis of the show, because my unofficial ODPH opinion is, if you know anything about the Scarlet Witch's powers, she is one of the most powerful characters in all of the MCU.
She got rid of the mutants.
Exactly.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, all of them.
If you really want to see the extent of her powers when she loses her control or just basically emotionally lashes out, 3 words. House of M.
Yeah.
One of the best Marvel crossovers they've done, but you can see the full extent of the Scarlet Witch and what she is capable of when she goes that route. I think what they're going to do is she is so emotionally upset about losing the Vision, she is trying to bring him back.
Yeah, which would make sense. I mean, you saw with Avengers Endgame when she came back, after she came back to life, she was ready to take on Thanos by herself and rip his head off.
Yeah. So
you took everything from me.
And I think that we're going to see that play out in here, that she's going to try getting him back.
Well, and I kind of got to imagine that it's going to start off as we're not going to start off that she's in this, other dimension, pocket dimension, whatever it is, with Vision there, quote unquote, alive. I would imagine it's her kind of like messing around and just kind of doing stuff, and maybe she comes across it. Oh, hey, wait a minute. I have the ability to do X. That could possibly lead to me getting Vision back. Why don't I further explore this?
Right. So at this stage, this is all we kind of just jumping off, that we're seeing that she is set in the 50s and Wanda is just reliving life, or we're seeing life in her eyes throughout the various decades.
Yeah.
Because we jump in, we see her, it appears to be the 1970s, and she does appear pregnant at this time.
Yeah.
So, and if you know anything about the history of the Vision and Scarlet Witch, that is a very real thing.
Yeah.
So we see that they progress onward into what looks like the 80s. And at this stage, this is what really caught my eye most of anything. It appears that the Scarlet Witch is in her traditional costume. Not the one you see in the movies, the one straight up from the comics in the 80s and 70s. And
which is interesting because if I read right the other day, if I read the thing correctly, it sounded like Joss Whedon, when he was talking to Elizabeth Olsen about the character, he's like, go home, Google search the character. You'll never have to dress up in that. And I don't imagine she's going to be in there for like an entire episode or an entire portion of the episode. To me, this looks like something that maybe it's for like a Halloween costume party.
Yeah.
Type of thing that I can't imagine they're going to have her running around in this thing.
I don't know where they're going to go with it. I mean, that was the thing that really just jumped in, that I'm sitting there going, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't exactly know how this is going to play out. So who knows? But it's a cool throwback to the comic. Yeah. It does represent a lot.
Yeah.
Whether that sticks or not, I don't know. I mean, it could not.
Yeah.
So as we still progress, though, we see her in modern times after a little stint where it looks like she's on the set of Roseanne, the TV show.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of. So we don't exactly know. It's a lot of her staring at someone. We're assuming it's the Vision. We don't know.
Let's say the one of her in the 90s she looks angry as all hell.
Yeah, she looks absolutely mad and just absolutely losing her mind about
this. Like Vision forgot to bring home the loaf of bread after work.
Something. It's just absolutely crazy about it. So it does jump ahead a little bit, that we do see a happy dancing on a honeymoon, so they're finally married. And then it jumps to what is causing a lot of stir on the internet, and that is the scene of Vision and Scarlet Witch standing in front of what appears to be 2 cribs. Now, if you know the comics, you do know that they do have 2 children. The story behind them is one of the messiest and most bat-crazy storylines I think I've read. Now, Pad, I'm going to... do you even want me to try attempting to sum this up?
Just to see you do it, yes.
All right, so basically take in essence of her mixed in with demon possession, mixed in with spells, and put it in a blender and just call it reasons.
I will say demon possession, that would make sense given for the show, given what this show is going to directly tie into.
Yeah, it's a train wreck. I mean, when you really want to break it down, for me, just the whole story reveal of her children is just, it's crazy. And it just gets more out there, and because the Vision is an android, it's just call it comics and call it reasons. I'm just going to leave it at that. And where it goes from there, if you know the comics, it kind of splits into two things. One, we will not see, and that is House of M.
Yeah, little early for that.
You will not see that. But where I do think you're going to see the slow buildup, and I'm going to say a change from the comics to a degree, is this is where we start seeing that the children that are Vision and Scarlet Witches are going to be Wiccan and Speed.
Okay.
So let's see how that plays out.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of all I'm getting the vibe from. The only other thing that is kind of giving me solace is seeing the Vision doing his Ozzy, best look there, Ozzy and Harriet.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to tie into Tom King's The Vision story.
Could be.
Which is excellent if you have not read it, and you definitely need to.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to wait and see on that. That's pretty much the only takeaway I had from that.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, what did you think about that?
I thought it was a very interesting look. It's kind of the one we don't really know the most about. And, it's the one I think a lot of people are excited for just because when they announced it, they said that the show was going to directly tie into the next Doctor Strange movie. So I think a lot of people are like, all right, this is the first time we're getting kind of like a prelude to a movie. And very interested to see, all right, what is this going to mean?
Yeah, so it's going to be absolutely wild to see. It's going to be 6 episodes, slated for October of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that one's going to move. I think that one's going to stay locked and loaded. In fact, I'm really hoping we see something in New York Comic Con for that.
I'm willing to bet that because Disney Plus is doing weekly episode releases, I'm willing to bet that whenever this premieres, the final episode will be either like the week before the Doctor Strange movie comes out.
It would make a lot of sense to do that.
Yeah.
But who knows? The only thing I know slated for this late in November is going to be Eternals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see this tying in with that.
No.
I really don't.
Might be a loose mention, but
it could be a loose mention. And like I've said before, the Eternals, which actually just wrapped up filming.
Yep.
So in the process of editing, getting that all set up. The only thing you're going to see in the connection is the word mutant get involved.
Yeah.
I guarantee you're going to hear that.
But oh my God, that means we're going to see Galactus and we're going to see Silver Surfer. No, stop it.
Pump the brakes on that. Like I said, the only thing you're going to see is maybe a quick mention about the multiverse and just whatever the heck is going on in this show. I'm hoping they borrow a lot from Tom King's Vision story with this.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's going to be weird seeing Wiccan and Speed get introduced because
to be fair, though, it was weird seeing Wanda and Quicksilver introduced back in Captain America 2. That was something I don't think we thought we'd ever see.
Or you mean Avengers 2?
No, I mean, they first got shown in the post-credit scene for Captain America. Post-credit scene for Cap 2. I don't think that was something we ever thought we'd see, given at that point how messy the rights were, given folks with mutant powers.
Yeah, and how they explained it, I don't know if they're going to retcon that. I would imagine they're going to.
You would imagine.
It would make sense to do. I kind of hope they do. And if you know the characters, you know why.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, this had a lot of answers for me, but a lot more questions, and I fully think it's just Wanda trying to get Vision back, and just her powers are absolutely bat crazy, and what she does, like I say, the history of how the twins happen is absolutely, it's a mess. Mm-hmm. You can call it reasons and leave it at that, and like I said, if I messed up trying talking about it, I apologize. I recommend reading the Avengers West Coast, and you can get caught up about that. Maybe it's a better translation, because I tell you what, I've read it a few times. I still go, what the hell happened? Mm-hmm. I can't translate it. It's a mess. But if it spawns off into the Young Avengers, which I think we're going to see a show at some point, I'm all for it. I wouldn't mind seeing Young Avengers happen.
Yeah.
But the final show that we did see in this trailer, and we didn't see a lot.
No, because I think it's just started filming, not long ago.
No, it's just barely started, is Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tom Hiddleston is back playing the God of Mischief, and we know from the events of Avengers Endgame, he's jumping around time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where they're going with this, I can only guess at, and I had to go.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing that he's just basically messing through time. And
if he can go through time and go to major points in history, like major events in history, and basically the reason World War I started with the murder of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. If they can somehow work it around, Loki caused them to be the cause, or just have him go through history and just major events, and Loki's the reason that all of those happened, I would be a serious just laugh.
I'd love to see that, but I think they're going to do that with Deadpool. I don't know why.
Well, maybe.
For some reason, because that's almost like breaking the fourth wall. But if Loki could do that and just be caught through running around time and just doing Loki things, I think it's going to be cool. But we do see him, and it appears that he is in a jail cell or interrogation room, and he tells somebody, I'm going to burn this whole place to the ground.
Which is typical Loki fashion.
Right. And I had to do some research online, and I found a good article from IGN about this, that the logo on his shirt is TVA. It stands for the Time Variance Authority. Now, I will be very honest. I don't know a lot about this group.
Okay.
Because if you know anything about Marvel's history and timelines,
it's messy.
It's messy, and it's not really enforced because you always have the 616 universe that you know. This is not as messy as DC's timelines. There's always one universal 616 universe that we know. That is the Marvel universe. If anything should ever happen to change the timeline, it still sticks to this one. It stays. It doesn't move. You might have variances in the future and such, but it always remains true. So I've never really heard of this group. I know that Owen Wilson has been casted in this show.
Wow.
Which it hasn't been announced, but going off of there's a group holding Loki, I'm going to guess he's the head of it.
Could be.
And honestly, after that...
Well, and given the fact Time Variance Authority, time, okay, self-explanatory, variance, okay, a difference, authority, okay, they're in charge. Loki ain't supposed to be alive right now.
No.
He's supposed to be dead. So the fact that he's gallivanting through time and possibly into the future at a, a la like the Flash, and with Reverse Flash, you're not supposed to be alive, so we're going to have those demon whatever things come after you. I can see this kind of being a similar thing where, okay, he's gallivanting through time. He's at a point where he should be alive and he's messing with things. We got to put it at the kibosh on this.
Yeah, so something's going to happen there. If we're actually going to see an enforcement by the TVA, that'd be the first I've seen, because I'll be honest, I had to go search, and like I said, IGN had an article about him, and I'm like, I still have never heard of these guys. So it could be interesting, and like I said, if Owen Wilson is casted in this role.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that he's going to be playing the head of it, and where they go from there, I mean, is anybody's guess. It's supposed to tie into Doctor Strange too. So I think that this one will be the last episode leads into.
Oh, yeah, that could be.
Into that. I don't think it's going to be Eternals. But overall, though, I was happy with what I saw. Really excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
WandaVision, like I said, I apologize if I butchered that, because that one just looks like it's combining a lot into it.
Sure.
And I don't know what to expect other than...
It's going to be a trip.
It's going to be a trip. I'm sure it's going to come out fine. However they try explaining the kids, that's going to be... I want to see how they do that, because like I said... If you've read the comic, it's weird, and it is what it is. A lot of magic and random involved. I mean, that's the easiest way to describe it. And how they first handle it leads to House of N, and then where they go from there, we get Young Avengers. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. I hope they borrow a lot from Tom King's vision, though. I really want to see if they can do that on screen. And then for Loki, jury is still out, but it's Tom Hiddleston doing Tom Hiddleston.
That's all I need to know.
That's all I need to know. But let us know what you think. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What is your thoughts on the Disney Plus announcements that came out Super Bowl Sunday? Definitely want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you ever find yourself sitting on the couch late at night wondering, what should I watch?
Aimlessly flipping through streaming services, pondering as you let your cursor settle over a title, but you just can't bring yourself to commit and push play.
Well, guess what? We do that, and we made a podcast about it.
Because everybody makes podcasts, but we decided to make ours about movies.
I'm Kay.
I'm E.
And together we start a journey through cinema where we watch a movie, sit down, discuss it,
debate it, test each other's knowledge of it, and then give our final seal of approval or disapproval.
Yeah.
So join us as we try to search the infinite web, attempting to answer the age-old question, what should we watch?
So check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and drop us a comment. Let us know what you think, and we'll have some interactive portions where you can join the fun.
So, pop some popcorn, pop some wine, and join us, won't you? Tune in to What Should We Watch with K and E.
Coming at you live, brother.
It's not live.
Coming at you.
Pre-recorded and edited.
Pre-recorded, edited, and delivered, brother.
Bye.
Hi, this is Jimmy Gazdick from Crimson Brethren and Floodlands, and you're listening to ODPH.
Coming back for the next segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and we have to talk some CW news.
Yeah.
Now, the final show has returned from Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that is The Flash.
Yep.
So we are picking up where Barry and the rest of Team Flash is now post Oliver Queen sacrificing himself to save the multiverse, and everybody is now on Earth Prime. We are going to be talking spoilers. So in 3, 2, 1, Pad, what did you think?
I thought it was an okay episode. You know, wasn't exactly the home run smash it out of the park I expected it to be. You know, kind of a tame episode, kind of a light episode, but, you know, still interested with, it was kind of like almost like an epilogue for the Flash characters, where they were still kind of dealing with everything that had happened from Crisis and moving forward from that. And I'm very interested to see where they go.
I thought this was good in a lot of sense. Didn't really blow me away.
Yeah.
But they're setting up some things, and there was one character that stood out, and now I don't really know where they're going with it.
Okay.
But we jump in, and the team is basically back to being
Status quo.
stat quo. Jitters has been rebuilt, everybody's favorite coffee shop,
Robbed inside 30 seconds.
and robbed inside 30 seconds.
The guy, the robber walks in and goes, "Give me all the money in the cash register."
Yeah.
And the owner looks at her and goes, "We literally just opened. There's nothing in there." And he goes, "Wait, really? Yeah. Well, then I guess I guess I'm gonna start blowing stuff up."
Yeah, no spoiler on that one, but the rest of it, you know, we're jumping into the spoilers. That was pretty much stat quo. Barry comes in, saves the day from armed, which, dare I say, just for simple robbers, they were pretty well armed.
Yeah, they were packing.
They were packing some serious weaponry.
Uh-huh.
But Barry goes in to save the day, and then we see that Iris has now formed her newspaper, Team Citizen, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
And they're now investigating some organizations, and
They're swinging for the fences very early.
Yeah, which I thought that was a little bit of a stretch.
Sure.
I did, but, you know, it is what is. Obviously, I think some stuff has now been fast-forwarded because of Oliver. So Iris is now the head of her newspaper, and she's investigating McCullen Technologies. And we really don't know what's going on there, but we do know that there is some organization called Black Hole that is involved with them.
Yep.
And as Iris is investigating their CEO, what happens? But there is a hit put out on her.
Yep.
Now, Pad, do you know who the character is that was trying to kill them?
Nope.
Dr. Kimio Hoshi.
And the other thing we should note is there's a lot of organizations and a lot of people that, you know, we're not familiar with and not, you know, knowing that they explained this really well, where they had this almost like, you know, trading card collection that I guess Cisco had made of all their heroes, all their villains, and all, you know, kind of like a baseball trading card type deal. And, you know, Cisco's having this like existential breakdown where he's freaking out going, "Oh my God, not only do we have to save the city, but now our threats have like quadrupled. We have more metas in existence than we ever had before. You know, this, that, and the other." And I like the one line they threw in the episode too, where, "Hey, Gorilla City's now on this earth too, so have fun with that."
Yeah, so at least that kind of ties in that they can definitely go and really have some fun with this.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the villain that we saw named, you didn't know who her character was at first. At least it threw me off.
It threw me too, because I was trying to remember back to before Crisis and I'm like, wait, was this something they introduced right before the Crisis episode? And I just forgot about it, because like the length of time between the last episode before the Flash Crisis episode and this one was quite a long time. And I couldn't remember. I'm like, wait a minute, is this just something I forgot? Or did they just do a poor job introing this?
Right, because the only thing I saw is the badge that was used to get around McCullen Technologies.
Yeah.
It looked like Spiral from the Grayson comic book.
Right.
But it wasn't, and as we see, Dr. Hoshi is actually Dr. Light number 2.
Yep, 2.0.
If you want to get into the comics version, which I thought was a very interesting playback.
Yeah.
To the Flash's Rogues Gallery. Obviously, Dr. Light, a very polarizing villain in his own right in the DCU.
Mm-hmm.
So, really interested to see where this is going. But let alone, like, the walking around with the black hole gun, I guess you could call it.
I think the way they explained it in the show is it was Dr. Hoshi's powers were light or something to that effect. But, like, they couldn't figure it out because going based off of what they knew, she couldn't really control her powers or at least be that precise with it. So it wasn't really a light gun. It was just she was using the gun to focus her powers through it so that she could be a little more accurate.
Yeah, which is very different than the comics.
Right.
So from what I can remember of it, because like I said, when I hear Dr. Light, I was like, okay, well, this is an interesting take on it.
I think of the guy from Batman Beyond, to be honest.
Well, you can think Batman Beyond. I was thinking Titans, since we just saw him in a version of that on there.
Yeah.
But for the second Dr. Light, I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. It does make sense, and to a degree, because I know there is some history with the Flash there. But to see how they did the interpretation looked nothing like Dr. Light, and not that he needed the full costume by any means, but like I said, it threw me for a loop.
It was an interesting take, and I was very intrigued by the powers because this isn't something they've really run into before. Where it's like, okay, this isn't just a case of run around, dodge them, and hey, you won. This is like, careful where you step.
Yeah, this was a real challenge for them, which I was surprised at. But for most of the episode, though, Barry was not involved because Diggle makes his surprise appearance.
Did you think he was going to pull out the ring?
I did.
I'll admit it, because Diggle shows up. He's got a package. He's going to show it to Barry, and he's talking about moving to Metropolis, and there's a butt with a very pregnant pause.
Yeah.
And I was convinced he was going to show him the ring.
See, I thought so, but then it took me, like, the more the episode went on, I was like, no, they're not going to, because the Green Lantern show, which I am fully convinced David Ramsey is going to be a part of, is going to be on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Would they do the crossovers and have that show appear on the CW in the summertime?
I mean, it'd be hard not to because, well, David Ramsey's been in that world for, 8 years now?
Yeah, like I said, it would make a lot of sense, and I think it'd be smart marketing.
It'd be smart marketing. It'd also be hard for me to see them take David Ramsey out of this universe into another quote-unquote universe. And just do Black Lightning him where, oh, hey, he's in his own separate thing that's totally not connected to the Arrowverse in any way, shape, or form. Like, what?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many different ways they could have gone with it, but what we see revealed is the original Arrow mask that Barry had made up for Oliver.
Yep.
And Barry notices, being the crime lab expert that he is, there's a trace of Miracle on the mask.
Well, first he notices there's a mark on it.
Right.
And he can't figure out what the mark's from because he's like, oh, Oliver hasn't used this in years. What could this be from? And Diggle goes, well, maybe Felicity just dropped it. But maybe it's nothing. And, Barry being Barry is like, no, there's got to be something more to this. And that's when Diggle won't go to the forensics lab. So Barry brings the forensics lab to him and he starts looking over this. And that's when he sees the traces of Mirakuru on the mask.
Yes. And there's only one place that they know Mirakuru is still.
It's in the North China Sea.
Yep. Otherwise known as Lian Yu.
Yep.
And there is one character that has that in his system.
Yep.
Which I was hoping. And I knew there was a slim chance of it.
Very slim.
Because it would have got leaked out.
And I got to say, I like how Diggle tried to avoid going to Lian Yu. He's like, listen, that's not the only island in the North China Sea. But Barry just instantly goes, yeah, but it's the only island in the North China Sea with Mirakuru on it.
Yeah, and because Diggle knows that there's one Slade Wilson that last everybody had known was somewhere there. Now we know that he was not there at the end of Arrow last season.
Right.
That they did the Manu Bennett kind of walked away, but I think Diggle was thinking, well, maybe Oliver put him back.
Yeah.
Because we don't know where the Slade Wilson is in Earth Prime as of right now.
If he's even alive.
Oh, I fully think he's alive. I think if anything, Oliver kept him alive. But what he does with him now remains to be seen. Either way, you see that Barry goes to investigate and doesn't find any trace of Mirakuru on the island.
And this is after he's finally convinced Diggle to go with him, and Diggle takes an obscene amount of motion sickness pills.
Yes,
which is a funny moment because he's sitting there and you can just tell he's pissed and he's popping them in his mouth like, you son of a, and Barry just looks at him and goes, okay, that's too many.
Yeah. Which is going to be interesting how they try spinning that off in Green Lantern if you're going to be flying in space.
Yeah.
I was thinking that when I saw the episode.
Think of it as though that's not exactly flash speeds he's operating at.
True, but he's going to be flying very fast at certain stages. So
yeah.
I wonder if they're going to spin that in there, but I digress. So basically, Barry's story this entire episode is just dealing with he's still hoping that there's a trace of Oliver on this earth.
Yeah, and I think it's him reading a little too much into it and trying to live up to Oliver's, legacy. That he's kind of the next in line. He's the Robin to Oliver's Batman. That he wants to live up to the legacy. He wants to carry on the tradition. And, he, despite what Moira said in, the last episode of The Crisis, where she kind of forgave Barry, I think on some level he still beats himself up a little bit that he didn't try and do more. And he's trying to make amends for that by doing whatever he can and doing whatever he thinks Oliver would do.
Yeah. So they're tied up in their own storylines, so that means Iris is left to mobilize the team against Dr. Light.
Yep.
And how she sets it up is after she is attacked at the Citizen, Iris gets everybody together and sets up a trap that she is now connected the dots that the CEO, Joseph Carver of McCullough Technologies, is the one responsible for putting the hit out on her.
And I got to love the scene where she confronted him about it. And he kind of like tried to show her hand and went, "Oh, you can't do anything about this. There's no way you can prove this." And she goes, "Listen, there's a dead man switch that if anything happens to me or my family," cut to Dr. Light holding a gun and shooting Killer Frost, cut back to Iris, "that if anything happens to me or my family, there's a dead man switch that will release all of the information I have on you, your company, and your connection to Black Hole to the internet for the entire internet to see, a la Black Widow from Captain America 2.
Yeah, very smart how it was played out.
And you could just see like the kind of color leave the guy's face, and he's just like, "Oh crap."
Yeah, so he calls off the hit, which I was very surprised, and it really established Dr. Light as being a powerful antagonist.
Yeah.
That she basically ran through Killer Frost.
Yeah.
And
would have killed her were it not for Killer Frost's like quasi healing factor.
Right. The opening shot definitely would have done that, because as we saw with Iris when she took fragments from the light bullet.
What did she say? 3rd degree burns?
I thought 5th degree.
Oh yeah.
I thought
I didn't think they went that high.
Yeah, I didn't either, but comics reasons.
Yeah.
But they end with the hit getting called off after Dr. Light has been hunting and killed Iris's original informant.
Hit gets called off. The gentleman for the CEO of the company there, who had put out a defamation lawsuit against Iris's newspaper and the folks that work there for defamation, is dropped because hey, we still want to operate here, and there's a void to be left in the city now that Oliver's gone, and in terms of like helping the city out.
Yeah, so they tie that up nicely for now, but I think Dr. Light will be back at some point. When, I don't exactly know, because I think that how they left the episode hanging, which Iris could not let it go, that she was responsible for somebody's death, decided to further investigate the message that she was left behind.
Yep.
And she decides to break into the technologies plant by herself and go snooping around, and she gets sucked into a mirror.
Yeah, well, she gets grabbed.
Yeah. Well, sucked, grabbed, pulled in.
Yeah.
Either way, she's taken into this mirror dimension, and that's kind of how it ends, which is interesting.
It's the Phantom Zone.
Well, you're trying to figure out, because I was thinking Mirror Master, which I'm hoping if you can finally rectify that and make Mirror Master the prominent villain that he is for the Flash, I'm all for.
Yeah,
because being one of the one and dones in the early seasons it was
egregious.
Yes, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. But overall, the episode was a good intro back, albeit though it was the swan song for one Cisco Ramon, who was so overwhelmed with guilt for the metahuman cure he was working on, because he felt that was responsible for Crisis for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, I couldn't exactly follow his logic on that one.
No, he was kind of going off, and I think he was just feeling... he had a part to play in this. That if he had his powers, he could have figured everything out and done something.
I mean, hindsight's 20/20, my guy.
Yeah, but it's like you have to realize your vibe.
Yeah,
you're not Superman. You were never going to stop the anti-monitor.
Yeah,
nobody could stop it. It took the combined efforts from heroes from multi-universes.
It took a literal god to stop the anti-monitor.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Vibe. You're not going to be that guy to do it. And if you picked it off, how are you going to stop him in time? either way, they do a nice write-off where he passes the mantle on to whichever Nash this is at the stage.
I call him Indiana Wells.
Yeah, so
It's kind of like Indiana Jones mixed with Nash.
He takes over, and it makes sense because the door is wide open for him to come back. Except my only question is this. So you have Cisco gone from the team, but his girlfriend is still working for Iris at the Citizen.
Yes.
Along with Cecile and the other character escapes me right now. So how are you going to justify that?
Yeah.
I know it's a minor plot hole. I'm sure they're going to tie it up next week.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
But either way, Flash, I thought, came back with a good episode.
Yeah.
Not blow away great, but it was enough that, okay, you have my attention for another week.
It was kind of like it was like a season whatever and a half starting off point, because first half of this season was entirely built around Crisis, to the point where like any other storylines they might have done or introduced kind of fell by the wayside. So this is kind of like, all right, Crisis is over. We don't have to focus on Crisis anymore. Let's get the season proper started.
Yeah, and they did it the right way. I mean, Grant Gustin came back and
I love the new intro.
Yeah, did a great. Yeah, the intro is fantastic that they did. I'm a very big fan of that, and it looked like they started doing that on some of the other shows as well. Because I know Legends had a unique intro.
Yeah,
which was very Sex Pistols-esque.
Yeah,
it was very punk rock, which I'm completely fine with. So let's flip it to final thoughts on Flash, and then we'll jump into Legends really quick.
Great start to the second half of the season. Really interested to see where they go, and especially what happens with Dr. Light.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dr. Light will be a great addition, and I don't know if that'll be the main villain this season. Dealing with this shady organization, I mean, anything could happen there. The Black Hole organization is not ringing a bell right now to me, so obviously if somebody knows the comics and Flash a little better than I, hashtag ODPH and join in that conversation on Twitter, because I definitely want to get a little more information on that. But to top, the back end that, I mean, it did lead into the new intros happening. I didn't get a chance to catch up on Supergirl and Batwoman. I'm going to do that within the next couple days. But we did have the new Legends. And Legends was Legends. Nothing really too much to write home about except Ava covering Belle Biv DeVoe. That's all you really need to sum up this episode with.
Yeah, pretty much.
That you will have poison stuck in your head for a week, because it has been for me since watching that episode. But it was standard Legends, nothing really super crazy to write home about. I don't know about you, Pat.
No, I thought it was an okay episode. Not exactly their best, but it was okay.
It was okay. I mean, it's still going on the deal that Constantine is on a mission to stop the demon who's unleashing all these evil souls from hell, and bringing back Bugsy Siegel and trying to do a 1940s gangster saga. I thought it was a nice story, and it is how Legends is American Doctor Who. Nothing really super noteworthy to write home about, but it's still worth the while to watch. But coming off the heels from Flash, it was a letdown in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, so let me know what you think. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What was your thoughts about the Tuesday night lineup for the CW? What do you think about the other shows coming back post-Crisis? Are they in your must-watch file, or are you saying, nah, I'm kind of skipping away into the end? We definitely want to have that conversation. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, a battle for your entertainment. In this corner, Mike, the Fanboy Hall.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And his opponent, Jim, the Hater Harris.
Hi there, I'm Jim,
Our podcast is The Fanboy and the Hater,
where we discuss the best
and worst
in movies,
TV.
and pop culture,
We are available on all major podcast platforms.
including Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, and many more.
Join us while we argue about the things that we love.
Like Star Wars, superheroes, and science fiction.
So tune in to The Fanboy and the Hater. And
let's get ready to nerd fight! 2, 3, 4!
Hey, this is Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling, and you're listening to the ODPH. I didn't mess it up. I thought I would. Right now, back to the guys.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and we have to talk about a show that's debuting on Netflix. Now, this show is Locke and Key. Now, Pad, do you know anything about this show?
Nope.
All right, so Locke and Key is a comic that was out in 2008 to 2013 under the IDW publishing banner. The author of said book is one Joe Hill. Now, do you know anything about Joe Hill?
Nope.
Joe Hill is the son of one Stephen King.
Okay.
So definitely...
That makes sense. Just the vibe I got off of the trailer, now knowing who his father is, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yes. So the story kind of centers around a family that goes to the home of its grandfather, I'm assuming, the patriarch of the family, and what they find there is definitely not normal per se. Now, the trailer has been released. I know that they're doing a big fan party event on IGN as we are recording for Wednesday. That this trailer, though, was sent if you're a Netflix subscriber, so I had it sent to me. I showed it to Pad. I want to kind of break it down best we can and just kind of give you the vibe off it. So we are going to be talking some spoilers about it. So 3, 2, 1. Pad, what did you think?
Looks real creepy, and I'm not the biggest horror fan, so I might pass on this one.
For me, I was intrigued. Like, I don't really know too much about this book. I've heard very good things from my fellow comic book readers that I interact with that was saying that this book definitely is something to check out. And for where this trailer jumps in, we see the family is traveling. It looks like off the coast of Maine. Like it's somewhere that has like a good summertime beachfront, so to speak, in the Northeast, because you can definitely see snow at some point during this.
Yep.
And as you see, they're going into the house, and you see that there's a young child that's talking into a well and says, "Are you my echo?"
It's up in Canada based off of the filming locations listed on IMDb.
All right.
Specifically, Nova Scotia, the Nova Scotia area, Toronto was filmed. But yeah, it's up in Canada.
All right, well, I'm just saying for storyline purposes, but shout out to all our contingent of ODPH Society members up in Nova Scotia, big fan base up there. So going back to the trailer, though, as you see, the child is talking to a well, and the voice answers back to him. And this appears to be a narrator talking about what is coming in the house and just where they're starting to find these keys and just how they unlock different powers in different worlds. And you see that one child goes and touches a mirror, and the soul leaves the body, which was kind of a very cool visual effect that the other family members really don't know what's going on. And as you see there, as they're progressing through the house, they find another key which unlocks a door, and they see there's an entity that says you don't really have any idea what's coming forward for you. And it just really had this awesome, cool, supernatural effect. And I know you're not the biggest horror person.
Right.
But this kind of had, like, not comparing it identically to it, but like a more darker Harry Potter feel.
I'll say I'm looking at the comments on the YouTube video that Netflix posted for this trailer, and a lot of people are making comparisons to Narnia, which I can see.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like Narnia, it definitely had that feel too.
Yeah,
and I do like the contingent of it because it just seemed like something really different. And if you know anything about how this show has been in like production limbo for years, to see that we're finally getting it on the screen, and let alone for Netflix to come out with it, I think is a really good look, especially for them at this time where, let's face it, Disney Plus is ruling that streaming service.
Yep.
Marvel has definitely implemented its will with Hulu coming.
Well, and especially with original content that is also based off of something. Marvel's got Disney Plus. HBO Max is going to be coming with all the DC stuff. So it's kind of like Netflix is kind of like the third child left with the scraps. Like, all right, which not to, kind of crap on Image or IDW or any of their properties, but just you're kind of left with all right, we got to make something out of this other stuff.
Yeah, and I think that Locke and Key, for the rest of the trailer, is, I don't want to say it was generic, but it seemed pretty basic. Your horror elements, your supernatural, like at one point you see a house on fire.
Right.
You see somebody is trapped inside a circle of fire going on, and you see a body falling off a cliff. I
definitely got a vibe of like some Stephen King movies off of it.
Yeah, it definitely had it. I mean, and obviously knowing the lineage of Joe Hill and the artwork, though, I mean, I've seen some of the footage here from Gabriel Rodriguez. I mean, it just looks incredible. And it just really gives a nice shot in the arm, I think, to Netflix. So like I said, the trailer gave enough that it piqued my interest.
Sure.
And like I said, I have not read the book. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I definitely need to check it out. And just kind of seeing how it's a simple concept of a family goes to a haunted house. It's set in Massachusetts, as I'm reading now.
Okay.
That they find all these keys, and it's just kind of ties into, like, at one point during that trailer, it does show a shoebox of keys, or it looks like a jewelry box rather. I'm sorry, keys, and just each one has a different element. And I think that's such a cool idea to see how this is going to spin out from the Locke family and just the different characters that are involved. And I think, though, going into why I think this show really kind of matters, and I know we touched upon it just lightly a little bit ago, Netflix needs something to really stand out. I know The Witcher just came out, very positively received as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
I haven't made it through a couple episodes. I'm not going to lie. I've tried.
Yeah.
It's not really clicking for me, but if it's anything like Game of Thrones, it took me episode 5 before I got hooked.
Yeah, no, the thing with Witcher, and I've said this before, is the first couple episodes are kind of, it's jumping around, and the timeline is it's covering as a very large and vast timeline. Once you hit, like, I'd say the final 2-3 episodes is where it all finally comes together and really starts clicking.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to give that a shot. But with this one, though, I'm definitely excited to jump on board with open eyes, because I really don't know a lot what's going on here, other than a family is going to a house, and it looks like, from all the little non-spoilers I've read, because I'm really trying to duck anything that's a spoiler, is they're just investigating, or they're moving into the family house, and there's just more magic and a little darkness going on. And I think just how it's getting presented, it just has that Narnia, like Harry Potter, supernatural kind of vibe, which I'm very intrigued to see.
Yeah.
I think it's a good shot in the arm that Netflix could really use. Like, I'm not saying this is going to take over like Stranger Things by any means, because Stranger Things is a whole other entity than unto itself.
It's a whole other ballgame.
Right. But I think, though, for right now, it's coming in at a perfect time. I always think February is, you're coming off post-Super Bowl. April, May is when the Hollywood big blockbusters start creeping out. It's a perfect time to drop something. And if you remember, this time last year, 2 shows dropped that really made an impact and dominated all last year. You remember what they were?
No.
Umbrella Academy and Doom Patrol. So that being said,
never got around to either of those.
Oh, you don't know what you're missing. Doom Patrol, I think, might be one of the best comic shows ever made. I'll even go on record and say that it's one of them. It's in the conversation. But Doom, I could go on. I'm so waiting on Doom Patrol Season 2. That needs to happen like ASAP. But I digress, because, like I said, right now is a perfect time to drop that and to drop a new show. And I think, like, for Netflix, it definitely works out. It definitely does what it needs to. That this show coming in very under the radar. Not too many people know about it. Like I said, I explained it to you, and you're like, what is going on? I also had this discussion with Rich from 3FN, and he had not really heard too much about this. And once I mentioned, like, oh, do you know the writer Joe Hill? His eyes lit up, because, I mean, obviously, co-hosting on Horror Zone 607, he knows exactly who Joe Hill is. And to see some of the work he's been putting out lately, too, I think is really cool. And like I say, with this book, I always like it when shows get, not Marvel and DC, but other independent properties get their chance to shine. And I think with, like, Umbrella Academy, it was a perfect time to do it last year. It definitely lived up to the quality of it. And just to see that this show is finally getting its chance, because, like I said, it's been tied up in, like, production limbo. I think it went through a couple different networks that were going to take it. But it just never happened. So when Netflix finally got this property, I think it's a smart move for them.
It's a smart move for them, and it also makes the most sense just because of the way it looks. And obviously, what they probably first planned and visioned out isn't what ended up in the final product. But I have a hard time seeing something like this on a CBS, a Fox, ABC, even an AMC. AMC, this even feels like, just for the subject matter and the material, it seems like something that's not exactly in their wheelhouse.
No, definitely not. So, I mean, this is just something that could just, really stand out. And like I say, the comic, last issue was in 2013. I do remember hearing something about this at San Diego last year, though, that they are going to be coming back with a new book. I don't really have a timetable on that and what's going to be involved with it, but I would guarantee you, though, it's a smart idea to do when the show comes out.
Yeah.
That not the book needs to come out this month, because, like I said, I have heard nothing about this. I haven't talked to Brian from Cheers to Comics to see what he knows about this as well. But I think it's smart if this show really takes off, and I really think it's going to. I think there's going to be a lot of word of mouth that happens with this, and I think the sky is the limit for the show, just from what I've seen in the trailer. Like, I think it's going to stand out and just be something different. And like I say, for Netflix to come back, especially losing its comic properties from Marvel and how messy that divorce was, honestly, other than the Umbrella Academy, can you really name anything top of your head off Netflix that has been a comic property that's really taken off?
No.
No, I think after Umbrella Academy, we had Stranger Things, but that's a different entity.
Yeah.
So, and there was a long gap, in my opinion, a long gap to The Witcher, but that's a video game property. I know it's a book series as well,
right.
But it's a very different thing. And for Netflix, obviously, to come back, if they kick the ground running with Lock and Key, which I think is going to be a sleeper hit, I think it's going to be something that you need to check out, tune in, and see what you can make your own opinion of. I think they'll kick in the door for some more indie stuff coming out from them for the comic world. We do know Umbrella Academy Season 2 is coming out, I believe, sometime this year. I don't have a timetable when, as we're recording. I do know that the Neil Gaiman Sandman property has been picked up. Haven't heard anything about that since. I do know that we have talked about Bone was picked up, the Jeff Smith book, which I am really excited to see. And just to see where they go with their other properties, too. I mean, it is a great time for Netflix to get back in the game and really showcase what comic stuff they can do. Because, like I say, their Marvel MCU stuff was top shelf.
Yeah.
You can't say it wasn't. I mean,
it had its moments.
Yeah, Iron Fist is probably the lowest moment of it, but it is what it is. But Season 2 wasn't the worst. I'm sad we're not going to see the Fraction end to that one, but, at least we get the Fraction Hawkeye series eventually. Last I heard, that was still greenlit for Disney+.
No, it is.
But overall, though, I think Lock and Key, I can't stress enough, I think it's good to support some indie comic products that are going to be coming out, and this is going to be a great one to really fly under the radar, and I really think this is going to have some high potential. Just from what the trailer that I've seen, and like I say, it's a lot of buzz going around about it now, a lot of word of mouth. Like, I don't think it's going to knock down any records the first weekend, but I'm not down next weekend. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about the show. That's just my opinion of it. But Pat, are you going to check this one out, or you think?
Just because of the horror aspect and the creepy aspect of it, and the fact that it's Stephen King's kid. Yeah, probably not.
No, but at least
I'm not. For long story reasons, I'm not the biggest horror fan.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to ask you to pry into that. But for me, like I say, I'm not the biggest horror guy myself, but this one definitely has my attention. And like I say, I was very impressed with the trailer. It was a nice little teaser. It's nothing too flashy. It didn't give too much away. Just, with these keys, it's the great power comes great responsibility of Spider-Man lore, but it's mixed in with some supernatural Narnia vibe, which I think is a very cool look at this stage. It didn't really look like anything I've seen out lately, in my opinion. But I'm excited to go check it out this Friday when it comes out. Maybe I'll have to throw up a quick blog about it next week. We'll have to see. But I'm definitely interested to see about this. So let me ask you, ODPH Society, what's your thoughts on Lock and Key? Are you excited about this? Have you read the books? Because, they've been out from, 2008 to 2013? So there is some source material out there. Do you love them? Do you hate them? What is the vibe on this? Is this on your going to watch list, or are you going to just make a hard pass on it? Definitely want to have that conversation. So hit us up. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Tyler from Second Suitor, and you're listening to the ODPH podcast. I want you to get it. I want you to understand. I'm doing the best I can, but not as good as I want to be. I just want to get it. I just want to comprehend that I have to make amends.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pat, what you got for those one-shots?
Got a little interesting Star Wars news from the folks over at Illuminati.com. Article headline that really caught my eye. The article headline was, Obi-Wan would have fought this deadly villain from Legends continuity in his Disney Plus show. Exclusive. And I went, oh, this is interesting. I haven't read everything Legends, but I'm very well versed in some of the Legends stuff.
Break it down.
The article reads, quote, the Obi-Wan Disney Plus series may be on hold, but that hasn't dimmed our curiosity. The Illuminati has recently uncovered that Ashard Het would have potentially been at the center of this series as a central villain. This character from the Legends continuity has sparked some ideas about what the story of Obi-Wan's series could have been before it hit delays. Now, there might be some of you folks listening at home, and I know Ken himself might be saying, who in the world is Ashard Het?
That's what I was just going to actually say.
Yeah, so he first appeared way back when, now this is back under the Dark Horse banner when Dark Horse Comics was writing Star Wars comics. A lot of good stuff there. I highly recommend you check them out at your local comic shop. Appeared way back in September 22nd of 1999 in Outlander Part 4. It was Star Wars Republic issue number 10. But essentially, Ashard Het was a Jedi during the events of the Clone Wars in the old Legends continuity. where he was the son of Tusken Raiders, so he was essentially a Tusken Raider Jedi. Now he didn't wear the garb while running around, but he was still, his parents were Tusken Raiders. But he managed to survive Order 66 because he was away from his clone troopers when Order 66 went down, but he saw it happen and he escaped and he went off to live with his family or his relatives, whatever, on Tatooine.
Okay.
So he's masquerading around Tatooine as, a Tusken Raider while also using his lightsaber to do things. Long story, you can dig it up on the Star Wars Wikipedia page. He ends up turning to the dark side and becoming Darth Krayt, and he first picks up that name way back in the Star Wars Legacy comic issue, which came out on June 21st of 2006 as Darth Krayt. And that comic series, which is a really great read, it's set 100 years after the events of Star Wars A New Hope. Luke Skywalker's long dead. You're dealing with his, I forget how many grades you'd have to put in this thing, grandson Cade Skywalker, who is very much at the polar opposite end of how Luke Skywalker is. You think of Luke the noble, do good Jedi, whereas Cade is like, I'm a bounty hunter who also does drugs.
Yeah, a little.
So it's very interesting. The thing with Darth Krayt is he abolished the quote unquote rule of two that you hear referenced in the movie and in the books and games and stuff like that, where they want a master and apprentice. And instead he established the rule of one Sith Order, and a lot of minions involved with it. It's a very good comic series read. I definitely recommend you pick up the trade paperbacks and give the comic series a read. It's really good. It's really interesting. But the fact that they might have considered or might have had him in this series was very interesting and very surprising. I know they really started featuring him heavily towards the end of, the Legends timeline, if you will, in terms of like real life, because he was in the comics. He was also getting referenced in some of the book series that were coming out at the same time, where you started to see hints and inklings of it. Like, wait a minute, okay, hold on. They're doing this in the comics, and they're referencing a planet that he's on in the comics, but the books are set, like, I think it was like 40 years before the events in the comics. Like, are we tying everything together here for once? And this was before the Disney sale and all that. But no, to see them possibly have used him in the Disney Plus series would have been very interesting. Who knows if they still will use him? But
because it's still wide open about what they're doing.
Yeah, it's still wide open with what they're going to do. I know they're reworking some of the scripts and what have you. So who knows if he'll stay on there? But the fact that we might have gotten Darth Krayt in out of Legends and into canon would have been incredible.
Yeah, there's so much Star Wars characters they could use, and obviously bringing them out of canon. I mean, Thrawn, we're still waiting on. Mm-hmm. Bated breath if they're going to pull the trigger on that one. I think it's long overdue for that.
Oh,
one.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is going to be... That was a really interesting take of that. Yeah. If that's still the story.
Yeah.
I'd be all right with that. I mean, because especially if you're going to be bringing a character like Obi-Wan in there, you want to do something fresh.
Yeah, you don't exactly want to have him prowling around, the desert shooting womp rats.
Yeah.
Like he's got to have something to go against.
Yeah, it's just not going to make any sense to do that. So, man, that's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Still not Boba Fett, though.
No, this is true.
But in time. In time, it's going to happen.
Maybe.
We'll have to wait and see. So, for my one shot, obviously a big movie coming out this weekend.
Yeah.
Birds of Prey with Harley Quinn. I'm not even going to try saying the other name.
That's a long one.
It's a long one. Is it really necessary? The Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. We'll just call it Birds of Prey because that's just going to be easier for me. So the whole story about this is set in the Suicide Squad universe thus far. I mean, I guess we could still say it's the DCEU or Worlds of DC or however you want to define it.
Yeah.
Taking place, Margot Robbie re-steps in the role as Harley Quinn and joins into the crime-fighting world of the Birds of Prey as they take on one Black Mask. Now, the casting for this has been very good. I am very excited about it. I mean, Rosie Perez is playing Renee Montoya, the Question. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is playing Helena Bertinelli, the Huntress. Journey Smollett-Bell is playing Black Canary.
Okay.
Ewan McGregor is playing Black Mask.
Sold.
All here for that. And just the lineage of the Bat villains they're tying in with this, I mean, I can go on and on. I am very interested to see how this movie plays out.
I'm interested to see if they do a mid-credit scene or end-credit scene.
I think they're going to. I think with this, I'm not saying they're going to tie into Suicide Squad or obviously Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to have nothing to do with this. I'm going to say right now that's going to be a whole other entity. But with this one, I'm not doubting that they set up the seeds for something. Not saying they're going to set up for like Shazam 2 or anything like that. But you're going to see a credit scene at some point in this. I have not read any spoilers on this. I'm going in with this clear-headed. Just from what I've seen off the trailer looks bright.
I mean, you had me sold at Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor being Black Mask is enough for me to go. I know some people are very trepidatious about this.
Yeah, sure.
And they have every right to be, so to speak, because Suicide Squad with Jared Leto as,
Joker.
Yeah, I was going to say Bark's Tattoos Joker, just did not really...
With the grill in the mouth.
Yeah, just didn't really connect too much, and... that whole story could have been better. I thought it was a fun movie. I'm not saying it's in my top 5 by any stretch of the means. I thought they could have done a better job.
I wouldn't throw it in the old DVD player if I wanted to watch. But if it was on a Saturday night, I had nothing going on, I might watch it.
Yeah, I mean, went to it and I was like, okay, I was entertained. And that's all I wanted to be with this film. Because obviously, doing Suicide Squad, the books in the 80s are phenomenal. How they've rehashed it a few times... And obviously, mixing different players in the mix, it's been very hit or miss. So the movie, obviously, not exactly a home run, and you can go into back episodes to hear our takes on that. But this one, I thought looked interesting when coming out, and I know they're kind of forcing Harley Quinn in with the Birds of Prey. If you read the comics, and I highly recommend checking out the Gail Simone run. This is a book that I'm excited to see finally hit the screen. I just don't exactly know what we're going to expect, but early reviews I've heard about have raved about this.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see this, and I think that it's going to surprise some people.
I think so too, yeah.
I mean, like I say, the casting has been spot on. They've definitely done some great jobs with it. I'm excited to see where they run with it. And to just be entertained, that's what I'm really asking for with this one. I don't necessarily know if we're going to have anything super crazy with this.
Probably not.
No, but I think that we're going to have the establishment of let's make this our own entity. Let's make this our own property.
Yeah.
If you're going to try redeeming Harley Quinn and making her into the anti-hero that she's now arguably DC's, with her and Wonder Woman, I mean, their biggest female superhero. I mean,
they may try and redeem her, but I feel like and sometimes with the comics, she's what they need her to be.
Yeah,
she can flip on the drop of a dime. That like at 1 minute she could want to blow your head off with a big old pistol, and the next moment she's giving you a hug.
Yeah, I mean,
because that's just how she is.
Yeah, how she has evolved from Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah,
has been truly something.
Yeah,
let's just say that. But to see how it's going to play out in the big screen, Margot Robbie, this is going to be her franchise to carry.
Yeah.
That this takes off. I know the other characters are great in their own right, if you've ever read the Birds of Prey comic, and how they're tying in different ones. Like I said, Renee Montoya, I don't remember being a member of Birds of Prey.
Right.
I could be wrong, and if I am, I apologize. But I just think with this book, there's so many different routes they can go, or with this movie, rather, that I just want to be entertained. I want to be very surprised at this. I don't want it to be like we're force-fed Harley Quinn. I want the story to make sense. I really want to see Ewan McGregor ham it up.
He's absolutely going to.
Yeah, like I think how they play off each other, McGregor and Robbie, I think is going to be really fun. And I'm not down the rest of the cast stealing some scenes. I just want to leave this theater the same way I did Suicide Squad. I want to be entertained.
Yeah.
I want to say, okay, I really like this movie. And I really want to have something good to talk about next week with it. I don't want to say DC failed again. I really don't. I think DC has been on a really good streak lately.
Yeah.
Shazam, very good in my opinion. I was entertained with that. It's a fun movie. Aquaman was better than expected.
Yeah.
Except it was Jason Momoa doing Jason Momoa things.
My man.
Yeah. So they're on a good streak. Obviously, the casting, the Matt Reeves' The Batman has been very good.
Which is now filming.
It's now filming, which I'm still saying it's going to be long Halloween by the time it's all said and done. I'm really thinking DC's going to turn the corner. Am I going to say they're going to overtake the MCU?
No.
Hardly. Yeah, it's hard to think that they will. But it all depends on how the next phase plays out for MCU. Am I calling my shot and saying yes? No, I'm not doing that. But I think at least DC is taking the right steps to contend. I think Shazam 2 is going to be really great with The Rock in it. And, I mean, when the Black Adam film comes out too as well, that's going to be something because they're doing the JSA in that. And DC can really get some momentum back. But Birds of Prey has got to carry the torch to Wonder Woman 84.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it will. I know I might be one of the few people that really has got some faith in this, but I'm thinking it's going to surprise some people. I think it's going to be very entertaining. It's going to be fun. Am I expecting some corny parts in it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think anytime you get like Deadpool or Harley Quinn in it,
there's going to be a cheesy one-liner.
You got to expect some cheese in there. But as long as it's kept to a minimum and it's something that'll keep me entertained and like I say, just leaving there going, okay, is this going to be fun? I'm all for.
Yeah.
And that's all I can really ask for about it. So let's see what happens this week. Pat and I are going.
Absolutely.
So we'll definitely be talking about that on next week's episode. So stay tuned for that. Do we have to talk about the Fast 9 trailer?
It looks amazing.
It looks like something.
Just take solace though. Vin Diesel did an interview today with Total Film, or an interview that just came out today, and he said, quote, and I haven't told you this, I'm reading this to you for the first time, quote, I started planning for Fast 10 before we started filming Fast 9, very much so. The universe is so robust and so rich with talent and rich with story that on one level, it's totally feasible to have spin-offs. And I think there's something that is inevitable. Universal deserves it because of how much they've invested in this little saga. And it'd be good to give it back to Universal. And for the fans, should Fast 10 parts 1 and 2 be the conclusion, it would be nice for this world to continue for generations to come. That's right. Fast 10 might be in 2 parts.
Get the out of here. No. Stop. Okay. The next segment is going to be the opinions of Ken M and not representing the ODPH panel. Listener discretion is advised. Get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm sorry. No. Okay. Let us break this down. The simple saga of a street racing thief team has now evolved into a government secret ops force that stops multi-leveled attacks from terrorist organizations and Lord knows what else.
Well, I mean, it's
no.
It seems like they're getting away from that, at least with Fast 9, because it seems like this is strictly family related. That this isn't like with some of the previous ones where hey, we need you to come in and stop this. Oh, hey, we need you to come and stop his brother. Like, this just seems like it's a strict family business type deal.
It's Charlize Theron. She's the one that's bringing John Cena, a.k.a. Dom's brother, because dun, dun, dun.
No, right. I realize that, but I'm saying you're not seeing, the government agent. I forget who the actor is, and I feel terrible for forgetting it. Oh, hey, we got this guy running havoc all around East London, and we need to come in. Oh, by the way, he's your brother. Like, I feel like they're not doing that.
Oh, I don't know. Like, this whole franchise... the fact they got to 9 films, the fact they got over 2, I'm in amazement of.
Yeah,
I mean they are
cinematic gold.
Oh, you and Dog, both of you guys are like, this is your franchise.
I know. Star Wars is my franchise.
Well, yeah, I know.
Hello, look at the nickname.
Yeah, I was gonna say we haven't called you Jay Toretto.
Oh God,
just yet. Well, that's gonna be your new hashtag, Jay Toretto. That's happening.
No.
Oh, that's gonna happen now.
That's it. I'm buying you a LaShawn McCoy and Sammy Watkins Kansas City jersey.
All right, I can sit in the fire anyway. So I'm sorry, as a Bills fan, I'm still a little bitter. Anyway, getting back to the segment at hand. All right, so they've literally gone over the top every single film.
They're doing a drift through the air using a busted out bridge rope in the next one. What?
Okay, there is only one way this franchise ends, and that is in space.
Drifting around Jupiter.
Drifting around Saturn's rings. It's going to happen. It's going to be the most absurd thing you've ever seen.
Because they seemingly, every time you watch one of these movies, even if you watch one of these movies on TV, because I know they're in rotation enough, watch it or watch for the big, stunt scene or, whatever scene you want to call it and go, and you might think there's no way they can top that. That was that was crazy. They top it. You don't know how, but they do.
I don't even know where to begin with this. Like I say, will I be there? Oh yeah, I'm gonna go see this because this is just dumb big action.
Oh, it's a summer blockbuster. You go to get out of the heat and you get out of the sun and cool off a little bit and you go for the enjoyment. You don't go for the plot. You don't go for the story. You don't go for the character development. You just go to see cars and crazy stunts.
Yeah, no, I shut my brain off the minute I walk in that theater for that one.
Well, after the trailers.
Oh yeah, after the trailers is like, nope, I'm just suspending all types of belief. John Cena now is Dom's brother. Over under a "You Can't See Me" is going to happen in that.
Probably by the end of it, yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a "You Can't See Me."
Yeah.
Will there be an AA? Yes.
He might not do the hand motion, but he'll say the line.
Yeah,
he'll say "You Can't
something
See
will be
Me."
in there, and then
He'll absolutely throw his finisher, the AA, in there because the Rock threw the Rock bottom in whatever one it was.
Oh yeah, and you know what's going to happen for Fast 10th? Josh Brolin is going to come back and he'll snap his fingers, and that's how it ends for Part A, and then Part B will be.
No, Part 10 will be CM Punk.
Yeah, I was going to say. I say he'll snap his fingers, and then it'll be up to Dom to, get the Infinity Stones, and yeah, I don't know.
It'll be out of control.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, are they going to copy like Avengers and go back in time? Like, I don't know. Like, I just
how Chris Pratt.
Just how are they going to tie this in? Like, I mean, who else is missing from this franchise? I don't know. Like, I don't. Like, honestly,
Chuck Norris.
Yeah. At this rate, they should tie it in with the Expendables.
Oh, that'd be good.
It'd just be the over the top, and Michael Bay needs to direct it.
Although you have some issue, Jason Statham's in both franchises.
Yeah.
No, they could explain that away.
Reasons. That's all you can never describe.
They could explain it.
Like I say, it's just to see how this movie has evolved from the late Paul Walker and Vin Diesel's original film.
Although, can we just say, how the hell is Han alive? Because, okay, I realize comic rules is unless you see a body, they're not dead. The man was upside down in a car that got exploded at point blank range.
I'm not asking.
How the hell is he alive?
I have nothing. I literally have nothing on this. All I know is it's going to be on the theaters. That's all you need to talk about. Like,
pretty much.
I'm just suspending all belief about this because where do you go from here? Like, honestly,
you go into a Part 1 and Part 2 10th movie.
Oh my God! Why? I'm sorry. I got nothing on this. I gotta talk some comics. Get myself in a better mood.
Sure.
Oh yeah, and of course they reveal Wally West is the new Dr. Manhattan. I'm sorry. I'm seeing previews of that too.
Yeah.
So let me give you some great recommendations at the shop this week. Batman 88 is out. Cover looks amazing. Batman under the Tunein run is looking incredible, and the cover shot with Batman fighting Deathstroke simply looks ridiculously awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Super excited for that. On the Marvel side of things, X-Men Fantastic Four #1 is out. They're going to explain, I guess, where Franklin Richards is going to go to either Krakoa or stay with his family.
Oh.
So that should be a little fun series. I don't know exactly how serious that's going to tie into what Hickman's writing.
Probably loosely
right now, but I think it's a good story that they'll need to explain. Obviously, Star Wars Darth Vader #1 is out, so I know you got that circled on your
written
list.
by Greg Pak. That looks incredible. It's set after the events of Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, which, to my recollection, is a very unexplored timeline. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah,
a little hand tied though, because by the end of the series, you got to be at a certain place. But
right. And Marauders #7 is out too, which, like I say, between that and X-Force, that's like my 1A, 1B of the whole Dawn of X storylines out right now. So much good stuff to pick up at your comic shop. Definitely go support your local shops. Check them out. Shout out to Justin at Sound Go Round. We'll be playing his new Comic Book Day picks this week. And obviously, shout out to Brian at Cheers to Comics, who always does the Wednesday poll list and gives you a lot of good subjects to talk about too as well. That being said, the music you heard on this episode is that of Shout at the Robots. They just got done playing a great show at Galaxy this past week. For more on them, Second Suitor, who's going on tour very, very shortly, so you don't want to miss out on that. Floodlands, who is due to come back on the ODPH very, very soon. I got a message from Jimmy from Floodlands Pad.
Mm-hmm.
All it said is, soon, brother. That's all we got. So I know there's something in the works. He was on the Second Suitor show talking about. We're hoping to get him, Tom, and the rest of the band in here, so stay tuned for that. But to find out about all the music you hear on the ODPH, one-stop shop is ochoduroparlayhour.com. Hit the music section up. You can find out about all those social media links. Join in, follow them, download their music because they're all awesome people. You can also check out the ODPH directory, which you have links to Horror Zone 607, 3 Fat Nerds, 8122productions.com, which, Pad, I'm going to give you a spoiler for this Saturday.
Uh-oh.
We are going to the UFC 247 watch party over at Dragon Master Games. Shout out to everybody over there. And I have heard rumor that before we get there, Derek is recording a new episode of Love is Scary.
Oh, God.
Now, I heard Mike C. is not in attendance for this. So
There's probably a reason for that.
This is Derek with a microphone
Unopposed.
Unopposed, unfiltered, uncensored.
Oh, Lord.
For $1 a month, $12 a year, you can hear the genius of the artist known as #BigNattyCool Diesel. I can't sell it enough. I can't talk about it on air. I'm not behind a paywall. But they are. So you definitely want to go check out 8122productions.com and see what they're talking about. You can also find out about Tom at Off the Cuff Gaming. Just cleared 100 subscribers. Had the cake party on YouTube. So go check out his channel. Shout out to Johnny Moose at Excite Wrestling. Photography by Mike Blakesley. Everybody that supports the ODPH, our little friends section, check out on the ODPH directory. Check out Parlay Points, the complimentary blogs to the ODPH podcast. And you can find links to our social media, all our great podcasting groups we're in. Shout out to #607podcast. Shout out to Pod Nation, and shout out to Next Wave. You can check out all those podchaser.com lists right on the front page. So definitely swing on over to ochodoroparlayhour.com, because that's all I got for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J,
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. See you next time.